Hello, and welcome to another Monday night Tasidut. So we are continuing with Bassi Legani, as we finished Gimel and Dalid, and so we're going to start by reviewing a little bit what it is that we actually learned to get us back on track, right? So we're saying this idea, right? That there's this idea that the infinite light has can go up until higher until no end, and below until there's no limit, right? And the concept of higher until there's no end is a concept of revelation, right? It's a concept. We said that was the fact that higher until no end. There is no concept of revelation even connected to it, right? Not that it cannot. Not that it cannot go down and be revealed. Oh, wow! Welcome. So we're reviewing. We're live, by the way. So so we were talking about the infinite light, right? And so there's brought that the pasuk is the infinite light can go above until no end, and it's also below and as far as it can go, right? And that's the infinite light of Hashem that shines on this world that we're explaining in the previous chapters. And so we're reviewing last week's before we'll go deeper into this week. So
I'm subscribing to these things now.
Amazing.
Reading them. I haven't been having time to do that, but I'm going to do it.
So what do we say? What's the idea? When it says that you're above until no end, we're talking about the infinite light as it is itself. There are two levels in the infinite light that shines at us. And there's a huge difference. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that it cannot go down and be revealed, because the idea of ability is just movement. If the light can be above or below, we said that's just location. If we're saying the only difference is, well, the infinite light above is above and the infinite light below is below, that's just a location. So it's not a really grand difference, right? Versus we explained that the real situation, right, and the real connection. So again, is that the infinite light above is completely in itself is in a concealed level that where revelation doesn't even fit. The concept of revelation to the godly light that is above the world, above creation, above that, it's by definition, by its own creation, not even fit for revelation, right? It's not something that is.
So it's a light that is not useful to us, except in ways we
can.
Can
well, the light, it's not something that is necessarily connected to us, because Hashem is a lot bigger than us, right? It's it's like my kids might think paying taxes is not very useful to them, but it's quite important, right? Like for me and the family.
Well, the consequences if you don't pay taxes.
Anyways, but the whole point is we, compared to Hashem, right, are like children. So something where you're saying, oh, it's not really related or important to us. Well, what do we know? Right? But it's also, right, and again, we went through and we said the Mittel Rebbe was explaining that it's, even when we're talking about the fact that it's concealed and enclosed is the same level, right? So there's an idea in this level, right? Ilayin or korayin, above anything above, concealed in as far as it can be concealed, right? Meaning that it's concealed in its essence, not just that they're not revealed right now, but it's concealed in its essence, right? We continued. I'm just reviewing, like I said, we're going to go into the text itself as we start in a couple minutes. Review, because we especially have a few Baruch Hashem new people in the class. Hopefully they'll be able, my short review will get you a little bit to understand what we're talking about as we're going. Obviously this Hasidic discourse, as we said, is a multi-week discourse that goes in depth and is so the whole idea, right, above until no end and below until no limit are two levels of makif. Makif means surrounding. So there's the idea of makif, the Or Yashar Makuf the Or. There's two lights, we said. There's the surrounding light that is straight, that shines straight at us, and the surrounding light that is returning. If you think about it, if light hits that wall, we actually see it. The light hits the wall, and we see it returning.
Mhm.
But if I look directly at the light, it also can hit my eye directly, right? So those are the two lights, and we're connecting it, right? So similarly, these two levels in the surrounding light, the light of Hashem that surrounds the world, the straight light is close. Even like if you think about it, the distance of the light from the chandelier above is a lot shorter than the distance of the light that returns and bounces from the door, right? Both of them are light that my eye sees, otherwise I wouldn't be able to see it. But similarly, this is why we called it close, the surrounding light that is close to us and surrounding light that is distant, right? And so the idea, right? And so the whole concept of revelation is, and belonging to the world is, right? And so, sorry, did I go? Yeah, I went the wrong way. I apologize. So in the review, right? So we said that all this revelation of the returning light and the straight light, really, it's like the revelation from a teacher to a student, right? So the teacher might have, as the Rebbe to us, or as I attempt to do to anyone who has not learned this concepts, is we try to take concepts that we might grasp in our mind and not simplify, but constrict it in a way that the student can understand, right? This is the way, right? So that we can understand, and when the student understands, we become one with the teacher, right? When the teacher manages to teach his student, and they understand and comprehend the same thought, there is a unity that is created between the teacher and the student, right? And so this is the concept that we're applying to Hashem.
We're alive. Wow.
Right? And so, as we said, even though in some ways you could say, well, it's makif, it surrounds. The rabbi's understanding of a concept it surrounds the understanding of a student, right? The light of Hashem is surrounding us. It surrounds the whole universe, right? This is one of the infinite lights.
Yeah, the infinite light that comes from all directions and goes to all.
Right, exactly. But then, and that's the close surrounding. And then there is the level of the distant surrounding, meaning things that are not, so that's great. The student is able to grasp. But then there is the makif that is distant, where the student can't even grasp it. It's so far beyond you.
Why
It's explaining the teacher who is a professional PhD in mathematics, explaining algebra.
Yeah,
maybe the algebra you'll get, but the multi-vector vector calculus with statistics or whatever, or rocket science, this is so far beyond you. It surrounds you. It's still the same teacher technically, but it's beyond. It's beyond the ability in this example. Obviously, I'm not suggesting anyone is not able to learn or grasp these concepts, but
saying we're stupid.
No, I'm saying that this is the concept where there are concepts, right? I could say, compared to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I am 100% sure that I am not grasping these concepts even close to the level that he understands them, right? And so, and this is true of every one of the Chabad Rebbeim, and this is true of many of the geniuses of the Jewish world.
But they kind of teach you anyway.
They do.
And you're not supposed to understand it?
Of course I'm supposed to understand it.
Oh.
That's the close makif. The close makif is when I manage to learn from my teacher and we can unite. We unite with the Rebbe by learning his words, and whenever we grasp a concept, when we understand it, we actually do have a unity with the Rebbe, right? And this is why the Rebbe, in fact, brings the previous Rebbeim. So we're not just going to have unity with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, we're going to have unity with the Alter Rebbe, the second Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Mittler Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, right? As we bring each Rebbe and his viewpoint on the similar concept, we actually, if we understand or grasp some part of it, we actually are able to unite with that Rebbe, right? And so this is the idea, right? You unite with who you learn. When you learn someone's Torah, you unite with them. You unite your brain, and you, in a way, exactly of this surrounding light that is close, right? But we said there is a distance. There is something
Not fathomable.
that's not fathomable for us, and it might be not fathomable for us now, and it might be not fathomable ever, right?
And the Rebbe himself, it was not fathomable for the Rebbe.
Perhaps I cannot speak that there would be something not fathomable, because perhaps the Rebbe could, for him, his level is so high that he was able to grasp all of it, right? Similar to Moshe Rabbeinu, right? There are
We can't understand what they understood, or else we would understand it.
yes, to some degree. Yeah, I mean,
But they wrote down what they understood.
they
didn't
wrote down, but again, it's to explain to you a concept. Again, if a rocket scientist needs to explain to you how to get a rocket ship on the moon, he will explain some details, but in the end, you will not understand it enough to build a rocket ship and get it on the moon.
Exactly.
Right?
There's
So-
a level
so
of detail.
There's a level of detail and understanding that you just
Can
There's
apprehend.
general
that is just
understanding.
beyond you.
Right.
And
You'll
it wouldn't be
understand,
useful
oh,
anymore.
I know the rocket ship has oxygen and there's fire and it pushes off, and somehow you have
gotta
to have
go to Earth
structural
orbit.
integrity or the whole thing blows up, and
It needs
then
to
you
go
have to have
17,500 miles an hour to get into orbit.
you get
And then it goes into
exactly.
transponder injection.
Ellis
Okay, but
actually
we don't know how to do
specializes
it.
in rocket ships.
do you really?
Yeah,
I study astrophysics. I do.
So no, but but my point is no.
Explain to us, please?
No, my point is, for someone, and the closer you are to it, the more you can understand, right? Someone who is studying rocket science will probably understand it much better than someone who majors in art history. Similarly, I have no concept of what art history knows, and I know nothing about it, right? Like, so if someone were trying to explain to me why the Rembrandt is this thing and Picasso is this and why that is so important, I would have no grasp of it, right? Because that's not something that I grasp, right? And so this is again the idea. This is the idea of the surrounding, right? That there are things that relate and the things that don't. And when we're talking about the distant makif, again, the surrounding light, makif means surrounding. The distance makif means the surrounding light, that even though it's distant, it still surrounds you. So on the one hand, you're saying it's distant and it's far away, but it's still surrounding you. Right? Which, as the Tzemach Tzedek says, the fact that it's right, so it's similar to a house. Let's take it down. Your clothes are surrounding you and clothes to you, right? I feel my clothes; they have to be form-fitting. My clothes won't fit you. Your clothes won't fit me. And if they do, it just happens to be that we're similar, but we're not going to wear each other's clothes. That's a very, generally speaking, uncomfortable thing for people to do. However, my synagogue can fit you just fine. My house, you can invite people into your house, and most people feel much more comfortable having someone in their house than having someone wear their clothes, right? Like, it surrounds you, but it's distant, but it still surrounds you.
Let's prove mine.
But again, so this is the concept, right? The concept of the house versus clothes, where clothes is it surrounds you and you feel it and it's form-fitting and it's specific to you. And then the makif that is distant is like a house. It still surrounds you, right? Your house is still your house. This shul is our still our shul, right? And so when we're looking at that, right? And so this, all of that comes into the fact that there is life force in the limbs, in every limb of your body, that is enclosed in every limb, literally. The ability to see, right? The ability to hear, the ability to walk, the ability to pick up a Sefer Torah, or walk around without pain, right? Two people, one of them walks fine and one of them can barely walk, right?
Okay.
And those are two. One has more. One is an athlete who can, climb a mountain with his bare hands, and the other one gets tired after a little stairs.
We get it.
Obviously, we each, and that depends on the ability, not ability, the power of the life force in some way that is within each person, right? The yes, it involves muscle, it involves physical, but again, with it has to be as it fits into the vessel of the body or the vessel of the mind, right? So this is the division. The desire to understand is not similar to the desire to see or walk. This is an important concept, right? So we all have a desire to see, to walk, to eat, basic desires. We also sometimes have a desire to understand. Sometimes we don't have a desire to understand anything.
No. Joey's a bad influence.
Shh.
By the way, the makif, hot.
You said the desire to understand is not the same as the desire to walk.
No, it's not, of course, because if you think about it, like it's a more distant desire, right? So it's an abstractive desire, right? My desire to understand something is there, but it's not comparable to the desire to walk, right? If someone doesn't understand something, you might be disappointed. Someone, God forbid, can't walk. This is a
It's not a necessity to live.
A baby wants to walk before.
A person would spend almost anything. A person who is unable to walk would spend their life fortune to be able to walk again, versus a person who doesn't understand probably won't. Right?
Of single cell organisms, they develop the ability to.
They don't understand the need. Well, why do I need to walk? Or why is there walking?
Well, I mean, again, we're talking about a situation of a human being, right?
Yeah,
So,
right. Yeah, but there are humans that don't have legs or born quadriplegic or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we're not, and that's a case that is, by definition, not the case that we're discussing. We're discussing a normative person who has the ability to walk, right? And perhaps someone who never had the ability. What?
Can we get back to the Kabbalah and away from this rhetoric?
Yeah. No, well, this is part of the learning. In any case, so we finished, right? So this is the
That was the review.
This was the review.
That's from last week.
This is the review of stuff from last week.
He gave me the for idiots guides. The real scholars were here last week.
And remember everything, correct?
100%. Walking, thinking, I got it all.
So, but again, we're taking it down where we think about it. The Torah is called a house.
Oh, the makif.
The Torah is the house. Yes.
Torah is a makif. Okay. And
yes.
Okay.
And is explained in my mind that just like the house guards the person and actually saves him from cold and from rain and clothes and even guards your clothing. If your house is outside, it's going to get wet, it's going to get ruined. No, the house, the distant makif, which doesn't belong to you, which doesn't apply to you, protects your inner makif, protects you. Right? And it truly saves you. And even though it's distant, it surrounds and acts. And this action, while it's not revealed, you don't see that the house is protecting you. You don't feel that the house is constantly guarding you, constantly making you able to function, right? When I sleep at night, it can be 40 degrees outside and I can be comfortable in my house, right? Even if there's decent insulation and whatnot, there's heating, other stuff, obviously, nowadays. But again, you see, and even you don't feel that there is anything because it's so far. My clothes, I feel that I'm warm, but we often don't think so. The house is a similar case. All right, so that was the review of the to some degree, in short, of last week. It's a 20-minute review, so not that short, but we're gonna start moving inside. All right. וממשיך ואמר שהסכלות אלו שהם בחינת מקיף הרחוק שאינו בגדר גילו כלל באים על ידי לבושים המעלימים ומסתירים כמו המשלים והחידות. So the mimer continues, the original discourse continues and says that these levels of makif, right, that is distant, that is not revealed at all.
The door's open. Oh, Adam, I got out of here too. Go.
They come through clothes that is concealed. So like riddles, like a mushal, like an allegory or a riddle, right? And so שבהם הרי אינו נראה וניכר שיש בהם חוכמה ושכל, כמו משלי שלמה. And when you hear a riddle or an allegory, you might it might seem like it's not noticeable that there's a wisdom in this riddle. Right? And so, which can often be in an allegory, we could tell a story about clothes in a house, and you feel, why are we talking about this? Or about a person being able to walk. We sometimes don't see the deep meaning and the deep message within an allegory, within a riddle, right? Like the mushals of Shlomo Melech,
The riddles of Solomon.
which themselves seem to not, you don't, they're not very noticeable. They're so wise, right? The light of the wisdom and לכן בסיפורי מעשיות שבתורה יש בהם סודות ורזין עילאין הרבה יותר מכמו שבדיני תורה. This is why in the stories of the Torah there's a lot more secrets and deeper meanings than in the laws of the Torah. In the Torah, right? But this is not noticeable, right? When Moshe Rabbeinu tells you to bring Korban Pesach or to eat matzah, it's pretty simple. But the stories have often a very big, deeper meaning.
Yeah.
The depth in the stories is not noticeable. It's concealed within the stories. This is why
The depth of the stories.
the story themselves of our forefathers, of what happened, right? Why Hashem spends all of Bereshit. Bereshit is a book of stories. The book of creation is really, it's
We
stories.
don't have a whole ton of commandments.
Right. There's no commandments. The only close to a commandment is circumcision, which itself is given again at Mount Sinai. Sure, the Noahide laws are there, correct. But again, the vast majority of it is stories.
Yeah,
not,
stories.
yeah.
It's the funnest.
Again,
fun.
and so, ולפי שעצם האור הוא סוד סתום ואינו בא לידי גילוי רק על ידי הסתר ואילם. And this is why, because the essence of light is close and concealed, and it doesn't come to revelation only through concealment. The essence of the light is a light that is separate. ולזאת גם ההתגלות שלו היא בבחינת הבדלה להתעלמות בעצם. And the revelation of this light is also completely separate and concealed in its essence. The essence of the light itself is a concealed light. It's not a light that is noticeable, right? And so, like, it's always, if you think about it, right? If you have a light in an enclosed space, and this is me attempting now to do my allegory to explain the concept, it doesn't matter. The light in itself is in a closed space. You will never see it. You'll never know. The light is enclosed, or if you cover up a light with enough layers, it looks like it is dark, right? The example we can look at outside, right? There's certainly light, and it looks dark. Yeah, we know that every one of those stars shines a light. We know the sun shines a light through the moon, right? We know that the moon reflects the light of the sun.
Was it the Baal Shem Tov that said one small spark of light dispels much darkness?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah. Afar machter inyan, the chol inano b'avdala v'talmud. Now I'm going to translate that Yiddish pasuk.
Oh, it's actually in Yiddish.
Yeah, far machter inyan. Usually, most of the inyan sagul. It's a far machter. It's a
Is
closed,
that in that book?
a closed idea. Yeah.
Is that in your
No.
the parsha of the week?
No.
She just knows stuff, bro.
No, but the book there.
No, it's nonsense.
So the whole idea, the kol inano b'avdala v'talmud. Again, the whole concept of it is separation and concealment. This again, we're talking about the very distant, right? The makif that is distant.
Concealment, what do you mean?
We discussed how the makif that is distant, it's like the allegory we used was the house versus your clothes, where it surrounds you, but it's distant. We don't feel the house is surrounding us. We don't pay attention to it as much. It seems my house and your house, it could be the same house. It surrounds you, it's distant, but it still has a big impact on you. We talked about this in the last two classes. Concealed.
Well, maybe if you
בעברית מה זה להסתיר? מה זה
לא, בעברית התעלמות.
התעלם משהו מהתעלמות.
מתעלמות. הבדלה והתעלמות. Anyways,
Havdalah v'hitalmut.
separation and concealment. All right. V'inyan, but then the idea in this, there is wisdom that you can explain to people. אלא שכאשר הזולת הוא קטן ממנו בהבנה והשגה, אזי זקוק הוא לאריכות הביאור בריבוי אותיות. There's wisdom you can explain to someone, but if the people you're explaining to is smaller than you in understanding or knowledge, then you need a lot of length of explanation. The further the student is from you in the learning, the more words you need to use to explain the concept. And this is actually the division between the Mishnah, that the Tanaim wrote in the Oral Torah, and the Gemara, which the Amoraim wrote several generations later. All the ideas of the Gemara, all of those books that we have over there in the back, are all hinted in 6 books of Mishnah. And yet it takes
A lot more books.
more books that are hinted to explain the Mishnah, which is just hints it
in the Gemara.
in the Gemara.
So the
Right.
Gemara is a lot more books than the Mishnah.
Of course. It's all explanations on the 6 books of the Mishnah. The Mishnah explains it in a short words. It gives a paragraph. And then the Gemara spends a page or two explaining what is this paragraph, what does it mean, what are the concepts of this paragraph, right?
So did we know that Baal Pan before?
Yes.
So all that stuff that we had, we knew Baal Pan, and then now
Once
all these people to explain it.
Of course, because we no longer live in our land. We no longer have dedicated, we no longer have peace and dedicated learning in the way that it was in the kingdom of Israel. And once the Jewish people have been exiled, we've always had to work harder. We've always been dealing with the nations who at any moment could, start. Yeah.
So it was actually documenting a process that was our way of life.
Well,
Yeah,
it was
the way we're learning.
right. It was writing down the Mishnah
The things that
itself.
we did in day to day,
Right.
or the oral tradition.
Yeah. Anyways, okay.
We knew everything. And
Yeah.
now
But again, so what happened? In the Mishnah, it was said in a short way. In the Mishnah, it says, do this. And everyone understood if you say do this, what that meant. But the Gemara needed more length to explain the things. אמנם ישנו בכל שכל מצד עצמו סתום ביותר, שלכן גם הגריתו באופן של סתימות, על דרך סתימין כל סתימין. There is so that's one thing. There's also, however, wisdom that in itself is closed off and concealed. That even its revelation is in a way of being closed. על דרך היינו, that even explaining the concept may not work by simply going at length about it. The only way you can explain the concept is not by explaining at length, but through allegories and riddles. It's the only way you can even explain the concept. שאינם ביאור עניין זה גופה ביתר הרחבה בדרגה התחתונה יותר, כי אם שהביאור בא לידי עניין חיצוני לגמרי. It's not, this idea is not that you explain and expand on it. No, the explanation itself comes through an external thing, like an allegory to something similar, that only through this allegory can we really grasp the concept itself, even though the allegory is walking, or the allegory is someone who cannot walk. What's the connection to Kabbalah, we were asked, right? So that's the point. Sometimes an allegory like that, even though it's very distant, is the only way to explain the concept.
I get it. Could you use another allegory?
ועוד זאת שכאשר תגדל מעלת שכל, even more so. When your wisdom grows, אזי לא מספיק משל אחד. Then one allegory is not enough. I'm writing, but I'm reading to you the words of the Rebbe, just so you know. So I think the Rebbe is answering. You're right. If one allegory is not enough, שניים ושלושה משלים. Sometimes you need 2 or 3 allegories. Ela.
Like a colloquialism?
No, that would not be a colloquialism, Obi. But on the other hand, that is a fun word. Let's all say it.
אלא צורך אלא צורך בריבוי משלים. Sometimes there's a need for a lot of allegories to grasp the concept, because one covers it in some way and explains allegory. Yes, that's the word I'm using.
Mashalim.
Mishalim. Yeah.
In Hebrew, it's mashal, mashalim.
Mishalim. Yeah.
Allegory.
Allegories. שזהו משבחו של שלמה המלך. This is what Shlomo HaMelech would do. What does King Solomon do? What does King Shlomo did? שנאמר בו וידבר 3,000 משל. What did he do? He spoke 3,000 allegories.
He knows no allegory. Can you explain to him what allegory?
It's an alligator, but it's bloody.
But I just want.
An allegory is, for example, explaining the infinite light through the concept of a house and clothing, right? Clothing in a house are not like the infinite light of Hashem. When I explain it, it's an allegory, right?
Okay,
So,
what is it?
It's the same thing as a category.
Oh, it's
no,
a
it is
category.
not.
No,
Okay, shh. Okay, guys, let's keep learning, please.
it's like a story that you tell that compares to something else.
Okay, thanks.
Like,
All right.
yeah.
So it says by Shlomo HaMelech that he spoke for 3,000 allegories.
A symbolic story.
V'hainu shebitzad omek sichlo utzrach l'shlosh shlamim mashal. Why did? Because of the depth of his wisdom and understanding, as we said, it was the wisest person. He required 3,000 allegories. Only through the 3,000 allegories did people finally understand the concept he was trying to explain.
Did he write these allegories down?
I am unsure.
No,
Some of them certainly. I don't know if we know all 3,000 nowadays.
How about that?
He wasn't wise.
מה שאין כן כאשר השכל אינו עמוק כל כך. This is not the case when someone is not so wise. חדית בגמרא 300 משלות שועלים היו לו לרבי מאיר. Rabbi Meir wasn't quite as wise. He only had 300 allegories for foxes. ואנו אין לנו לשלוש. We only know 3 allegories for foxes nowadays.
For foxes.
Yes, using a fox as part of an allegory.
Was it like Jacob compared to or Joseph compared to a fox?
The way they are.
Let's focus on what we're learning. וזהו גם עניין סיפורי מעשיות שבתורה, שחיצוניותם הם סיפורים. And this is the idea we talked about. What are the stories of the Torah? The concept of the stories of the Torah, they're externality, in external way, they're just stories. כמו משל, ולהעיר שהתורה נקראת בשם משל. An allegory, by the way, the Torah itself is called a mashal, an allegory. One of the ways the Torah is called, the whole Torah is an allegory itself. This is in Shmuel, in the book of Shmuel, Kav Daled. It explains that the Torah itself is called a mashal, an allegory. ומכל מקום, הנה דווקא על ידם, נמשכים ימים אלו שאינם יכולים לגלות בהבנה והשגה, ונהיה הלכות שבתורה, but only through these, the allegory of the Torah itself, which is called an allegory, through them, we bring down and we continue these ideas that cannot be revealed through understanding or through truly reaching it just by learning the laws, right? And so this is the idea. Again, we're talking about that sometimes even explaining in detail, sometimes you can't just explain in a mathematical way. Sometimes a concept is too complex. It's too complex and too...
We need too many allegories.
No, if the more complex the concept, the more allegories sometimes are required. As we said, Shlomo HaMelech required 3,000 allegories to explain a very deep concept. All right, Vav. We're continuing the next Vyuvan al pi mamar Baal Shem Tov. You like the Baal Shem Tov? We bring you some Baal Shem Tov. And it's understood again because we want to. One of the things that these Hasidic discourses do, as we said, when we learn the words of these holy tzaddikim, these holy rebbes, we unite ourselves with them through our understanding. That is the concept of learning discourse. And the Rebbe would bring words from the previous rebbeim so that you get to unite not just with the seventh Lubavitcher Rebbe who said this whole discourse, but the other rebbeim he himself brings. And when we learn their words, we unite with them. We unite our wisdom. Our wisdom to some degree unites with them.
Rabbi Peel related to the
Yes.
Really?
I believe Yeah, I think either him or Mati. I can't remember. But anyways,
Or the neighbor.
ויובן על פי, no, ויובן על פי מאמר הבעל שם טוב, שהובא בכתר שם טוב, the discourse of Baal Shem Tov that is brought in Keter Shem Tov, בנוגע לסיפורים שבתורה. The Baal Shem Tov said about the stories in the Torah, משל למלך ששלח בנו יחידו למרחקים, כדי שיהיה לו אחר כך יותר תענוג. The Baal Shem Tov loved king allegories. His king allegory, it's an allegory to a king who sent his only son very far away so that he has more pleasure from his son later. וברבות הימים נשכח מבין המלך כל תענוגי המלך. And after the son who went to be educated far away, the son, please, all questions after.
Try to explain what an allegory is.
Okay, after
We-
the class.
Lord of the Flies.
Okay, we will you are welcome to have a discussion
I'm
about
done. I
allegory.
got a
Thank you.
discussion.
Okay, all right, thank you. So again, we have the Baal Shem Tov story, right? About the king who sent his son away. And after some time where the son was away from the king, he forgot all the pleasures of the king, all the pleasure of the kingdom. The son lost everything, and his father even sent, come back to the palace. And he said, no, I'm happy. I don't want to come back. The son says, I don't want to come back. And he sent important ministers to get his son, and it didn't help. Until there was one very smart minister who wore clothes like the king's son and spoke the language the king's son spoke. Again, the king's son has been far away now, right? He went far away to a distant land to you know. So there was one smart minister, and so he spoke the son's language, and he dressed like him, so you could approach him. When he got close to him, and he was able to return him to his father. Unlike all the other important ministers who the king's son would say, who are you? I don't care. You fancy pants, you know? This was obviously my addition to the discourse. And this is the idea of the Torah being enclosed in physical stories. Until here, the minister who was able to dress and speak like the son was able to bring the son back. And this is the concept of the Torah being enclosed in physical stories. Those were the words of the Baal Shem Tov until here. Let's continue. We'll understand in a second. Give me a second. Let's continue. You're asking what, but we haven't gone to the what. This was just the idea. This was just the concept. The idea within this, the idea is the pleasure of the king from his son is also when the son is close to him. So the king can have joy from his son by having close, but he wants to send him far away so that he can get educated, be who he is, and then return to his father to bring more joy to the king, right? And how does he return to him? Through the way he returns to him is through the wise minister who changes his clothes and changes his language to be similar to the son of the king that was far away. And this is the concept of the stories of the Torah. Specifically through clothing of the Torah. In physical stories. The Torah is spiritual and lofty, but by clothing it in physical stories. Often they're very distant, right? The story about a king sending his son away, sending ministers, this is a very distant story from Torah, seemingly, right? You can reveal more pleasure. Which is a level that is higher than normal levels of pleasure, that is no higher level of pleasure for Hashem than that. It's meaning we're not talking about just something more pleasurable, something that is the utmost of pleasure for Hashem. There's no higher level of pleasure. And this is the idea of the simple pleasure, which will be explained below. We'll explain what that means. And now we're bringing it down. We started with Baal Shem Tov, his student, the Maggid of Mezrich, explained. Oh, we're reaching something that's similar to our Parsha. It says, for 3 days we shall go in the desert, right? The Torah was given in Sinai. It was given through speech. Certainly there were thought. It wasn't only speech. Because speech continues from thought. So the Torah was given both in speech and in thought. So the speech and thought were at Mount Sinai. What do we have? We have the action. The action is in our hands. So when we do the mitzvah in this physical world, like saying, like eating kosher food, and we could say a blessing when we eat kosher food. When we do the mitzvah, we unite the deed of the now with the thought and speech of Mount Sinai that happened at Mount Sinai.
So we're enacting the allegory.
No, now this is not the allegory.
We're no longer in allegory mode.
I mean, I think this is just this seems to be actually just the deep concept. I don't think this is an allegory. This is literal.
Who is the Maggid of Mezrich?
The Maggid of Mezrich is the student of the Baal Shem Tov, whose student was the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Chabad. So, and he was one of he continued the work of the Baal Shem Tov.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a big tzaddik, eh?
Yes. So again, when we do the mitzvahs, we unite the deed of the mitzvah, which is the world of Asiya, the world of doing, the lowest world, with dibur, speech, machshava, the thought, which are the worlds of formation and creation. This is the idea. All of this is what it means for 3 days we walk in the desert. We're going to the 3 days that it says we need to walk in the desert is an allegory. For what? The 3 worlds we're going to unite by Mount Sinai. The world of thought, speech, and action. Or the world, or the world of Yetzira, Bria, Asiya.
I'm sorry, you came out of nowhere.
Yetzira, say that again.
Yetzira, formation. Bria, creation. Asiya, action or doing.
Action and doing.
That is nice. So those are the 3 worlds.
Action is tied to both. Well, the speech was at Mount Sinai. The thought predates speech because you have to have thought to have speech. The action is us. When you unite all 3, that's the 3 days you walk in the desert.
But it's in a certain order. You can't do the action without understanding
right.
the machshava and the dibur.
You can't. That's also incorrect. You can't.
You can't.
100%. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm doing a mitzvah. I don't know. If you take a Jew on the street and you put fill on him, he's Jewish. Yeah. He doesn't know what this is, why I'm doing this, nothing. He did a mitzvah.
Because we have other antenna or other ways of understanding.
Anyways, דהיינו שלושת עולמות נראה בקבלת תורה. הוא מקדים לבאר בנוגע להתפשטות תורה בעולמות. And so we're going to preface the concept. Excuse me. We're going to preface the concept of enclosing the Torah in the world. שכל מה שמתרחק יותר משורשו, anything that goes further from its root, from its source, שם התורה יותר מצומצמת. There the Torah is more constricted. עד שבא לעולם הזה, until it comes to this world. שבו הכל בצמצום. In this world, everything is very constricted. We most of the light is already, there's so many curtains, so many things that we only see a tiny bit of light in this world. שבו הכל בצמצום גמור, עד שכמעט שאין לך מצווה שאין בה מידות ושיעורים, until there's almost no commandment that doesn't have measurements, and right. And so what is the fact of measurements here? Right. So mitzvah she'en v'mi shezoche sheroe olamot ilunим b'et asatah mitzvot. We all we see is the physical thing, right? Even though your mitzvah actually goes to the upper world, right? So the fact that the deed of the mitzvah is actually limited, we see when we do the mitzvahs, only the mitzvahs itself, we don't see how it is in the supernal world, right? Their mitzvahs are not constricted as they are here into just physicality. Someone who could see the effect on the upper worlds that your mitzvah has. When you say a blessing to eat food, when you listen to a Torah shiur or learn, when we speak words of Torah, we may not merit to see the pleasure that it happens. But if you could, someone who is able to see that, someone who merits to see this, when he does the mitzvah, he has more pleasure. Anything that is more above is more wide, is less constricted, right? It's not constricted like in our world. And this is what our sages said. דכתיב ויפרוש אותה לפניי, והיא כתובה פנים ואחור. So the Gemara says in explanation of Tehillim, לכל תכלה ראיתי קץ רחבה מצוותך מאוד. There's a Tehillim where Yechezkel comes and explains this Tehillim, that I saw the end and it's very wide. Your mitzvah I saw, right? Very wide. Yechezkel comes and he didn't explain it. He didn't explain what is this end, the end of the Torah. He said it in the way he saw it in prophecy. No. And I see this and it's written in front and behind. He was able to see the ideas of the Torah in the upper world, which is the great pleasure without constriction. So Yechezkel merited to see it in the upper world as part of a prophecy.
This is before they got taken up by the Ezekiel Sherrod, or during this time, this is what we saw.
I believe.
This is a description of.
Yeah, I believe so.
That
I
was
could
the
check.
only one. It was a little
It's Yechezkel Bet Yud. I am sorry that I am not quite knowledgeable about Yechezkel to know where in Yechezkel this particular sentence is, or the details of it enough to be able to answer it. Bezrat Hashem, next year we'll have Mashiach teach us. But until then, we're gonna have to deal with me doing it.
I'll settle for you.
Wait. Zechariah comes after Yechezkel.
Who?
Zechariah.
Oh, Zechariah.
I don't know. Zechariah upirsha. Zechariah came and explained it. Dichtiv Megillah afa aruka v'rechava. That it is a scroll that is thick and wide. So he measured it. He said it's thick and wide. This Yechezkel says it's a scroll. Zechariah already added that it's thick and wide. Shehu kfi shu ba'olam hadibur. Because Zechariah brought it to speech. Speech is already a limitation. Thought is, if you think about it, thought is a lot more. You're able to think things that you cannot put into words sometimes,
So
right?
you put a limit on it by calling it thick and wide.
Right. He limited it. Yes, there was a
Space
limitation.
between the letters and concepts between the words.
It's a constriction
That
by adding words. And so it says it's measured. He saw it. He saw the Torah with a measurement, with a limitation. Right? His prophecy saw the Torah in a more limited way than the prophecy of Yechezkel, who was able to see it in a more yeah.
What is that?
I am learning from it's a mimer. It's the words of the Lubavitcher Rebbe in the year Tafcha that he would say Bati Legani. It's a Hasidic discourse. No, this is not the Tanya. This is the Lubavitcher Rebbe, our Rebbe, who spoke every year about these concepts, this discourse. We've explained. Anyways, so I want to try to get through this page because I'm trying to. We're ready.
We work overtime. It's fine.
Well, we are overtime. Yes, the class today. Anyway, so as we said, speech is limited. Speech is limited. This is since the Torah and commandments are actually limited, constricted in this world. So when you do a mitzvah, you have to keep in mind and you have to try to think, thought, speech, and action. By the fact that you are able to think of it in thought, speech, and action, you take it out from its physicality and you actually bring it closer to their source, and you unite it with the mitzvah as it is in the upper world.
Wait.
And the most important part is the pleasure when it is done. Again, the pleasure, this divine pleasure, is the thing that unites these things. So this divine pleasure unites this concept. In the fulfillment of mitzvah from pleasure, it connects and unites the action of the mitzvah in this world with the supernal worlds that are separate from it.
And this is like a deep, profound pleasure for Hashem.
Yes. Well, this is the pleasure when we do the mitzvah, I think, actually.
Well, then what's the supernal part of it? Because we're not supernal.
Well, this is how we do it. We're connecting to us. So we take through the pleasure below, it connects all the worlds to Hashem. Everything we said until now was the Maggid of Mezrich explaining his concept. Now the Rebbe is going to go and explain what the Maggid said.
Okay. The Maggid talked about Ezekiel and
Zechariah and Yechezkel and these concepts. I'm going to try to get through, and there will be questions after, okay? So seemingly, based on what we just said, why do we need the action? There is more pleasure when it comes to speech.
It's not good for you.
And even more in thought. As the Torah was before it was given. Before Matan Torah, it was only in thought. It wasn't brought down through speech yet, even though Hashem already thought of it. There's even a greater pleasure. Every time you go down, there's an idea of constriction, of constricting the idea. And the pleasure itself is also constricted. And if so, why do we need this idea of 3 days we walk in the desert? Why do the Jews need 3 days to walk in the desert? Right? As we said, which is the three worlds of thought, speech, and action uniting. The Rebbe says the walking and the receiving of the Torah in the three worlds, also in the world of deeds. Why can we not enjoy it in the world of thought? Why does it need to bring it down to deeds? Where there is less pleasure, right? Seemingly, it's better to do the mitzvah in thought and speech, because the pleasure is greater than it is with action, right? Which is more constricted. It's a lower world, as we said. But we're going back to the Baal Shem Tov to explain it. Because through the Torah, getting clothed in physical things, we can reveal the more pleasure, this concept of the greatest pleasure, the highest level of pleasure. And since the Maggid says, right, the the pleasure connects these two things. מזה מובן. מחבר שני דברים, מזה מובן שכדי לחבר עניינים שהם הופכים יותר, יש צורך בתענוג גדול יותר. So to connect two things that seem to be opposites, you need a greater pleasure. והעניין בזה שהתענוג כפי שהוא במדרוג הלילות הוא דיבור ומחשבה. The pleasure as it is in the higher worlds is in speech and action. Sorry, I apologize. Speech, thought and speech. It's not in action. ובמדידה ושיעור לפי ערך העניין שממשיך את התענוג. ובמדידה ושיעור לפי שערך ממשיך את התענוג. מחשבה לפי עניינה, חיבור לפי עניינה. So it is still limited because the pleasure as it is in thought or the pleasure as it is in speech, each one is limited to some degree already, right? As it is. But to get to this level of unlimited pleasure, the greatest pleasure, more pleasure, a pleasure that is uncomparable to all the other levels of the concept of pleasure, the essence of the pleasure, the simple pleasure is through action. And that is what, God willing, we will learn and explain and finish the discourse, God willing, next week. As we complete.
Are we taking Q&A?
Yes, I will attempt to answer questions as best as I can. I will say, in full honesty, this concept is very complex, and even I don't feel I fully grasp everything.
I do, and I will explain everything. And so it is. So
all right, what's your questions? I will attempt to answer.
I don't have a question so much as more just
We're still live, so if you
Go
want to
ahead.
ramble, we can turn off
Adam,
the
what's your
YouTube.
question?
We can do it live.
You know, obviously a very huge figure, and he said a lot of things. Obviously did a lot of things. What was he really like known for? He was known for
Simple actions, if anything. Yeah, he was known for taking care of Jews in the villages, in the simple Jew, certainly. If you're talking about the Baal Shem Tov. But
He's a simple guy.
I mean, well, I wouldn't say the Baal Shem Tov himself was simple, but there's it is more, again, we're the concept, of course, he was Hasidic, he was a Hasidic Rebbe.
Kinda.
Yes, he was one of the 30. He was one of the 36 tzaddikim in the world. Yes, and he was also the leader of the Jewish people. But again, that's not. I'm going to end the class. One sec. Yeshikach, I just want to wish everyone a wonderful Shvat as we prepare for Yud Shvat, the day that the Rebbe took on the leadership. The reason we learned this class, as we stated before, is that the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away on Yud Shvat, and a year later, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, our Rebbe, took over as the leadership of Chabad and the leadership of Jewish people, this was the discourse that he would give over every year to elucidate this concept, and hopefully, as we learn, we can connect to the Rebbe. We can connect when we learn the words of the Baal Shem Tov. To the Baal Shem Tov, when we learn the definitely complex concepts of the Maggid of Mezrich, who took the concept of the Baal Shem Tov and went even deeper. We can connect to every one of these levels and grasp something and unite.
That went through all of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Or the concepts of it did anyways, may we get to learn with Mashiach next week so that all the questions can be answered much better than I can answer
Okay,
them.
class picture with the teacher.